We often view the parables of Jesus as simple moral platitudes, neatly packaged lessons on kindness, designed for immediate consumption by the masses. First-century Judea was a pressure cooker, a society crushed by Roman occupation and fractured by religious conflict, where salvation was a matter of survival. In this environment, Jesus chose to speak in cryptic riddles. He stated that his message was hidden by design, intended to remain out of reach for most of his audience. This creates a central question. Why would a figure offering salvation deliberately gatekeep his teachings? Carl Jung, the pioneer of analytical psychology, argued that Jesus was deploying a psychological trigger. Jung believed that a direct, literal answer is often useless. The conscious mind quickly digests facts into rigid, dead dogma, requiring no actual change from the listener. Using confusing symbols and metaphors bypasses this mental shortcut. A riddle demands a completely different kind of attention, forcing the brain to stop categorizing and start experiencing. By hiding the truth, Jesus forced his followers into the agonizing internal work required to truly understand it. The engine behind this process is the collective unconscious. This is Jung's concept of a shared reservoir of human experiences and symbols that exists beneath our individual identities. Jesus built his parables using archetypes, universal patterns like the hero or the outsider. These bypass societal conditioning. The archetype communicates with the unconscious, even when the conscious mind is confused, matching the hidden architecture of our own minds. These parables were engineered to resonate across time. They function independently of their historical era because they speak to the permanent structures of the human psyche. The most difficult part of that psyche to face is the shadow. This is the dark mirror containing all the traits and impulses we deny in ourselves and project onto others. Stories like the Good Samaritan function as psychological traps. They lure the listener into a narrative that eventually forces them to confront their own hypocrisy. These narratives force the listener to realize that they contain the exact biases and flaws they condemn in the story's villains. The parable relentlessly exposes the parts of ourselves we refuse to look at. Jung called this process of facing one's internal darkness individuation. It is the journey toward becoming a complete, integrated self. Individuation involves a raw, emotional tearing down of the false ego. It is the destruction of a rigid shell to reveal the authentic core beneath. Jesus' riddles provide a map for this transformation. They are a survival guide for the agonizing process of becoming one's true self. Through this psychoanalytic lens, the kingdom of heaven takes on a different meaning. Jesus often described it as a state of being rather than a physical location. Traditional interpretations frame salvation as an external destination, a place earned after death by following specific doctrines. In Jung's view, salvation is the integration of the psyche. It is the act of bringing the scattered, denied fragments of the soul into a unified whole. Salvation, in this framework, is a terrifying psychological achievement realized in the present moment. This internal journey requires a reassessment of doubt. The story of doubting Thomas illustrates this friction. Jung viewed doubt as a mandatory catalyst for growth. It provides the friction necessary to move past blind obedience and toward a personal connection with the divine. Uncertainty and cognitive dissonance are the raw materials for psychological evolution. We are challenged to stop seeking comfortable external answers. No doctrine or rigid system can solve the internal chaos of the human experience. True meaning requires the courage to look into the mirror of the psyche and do the difficult work of knowing oneself. The truth was never hidden to keep us out. It was hidden to force us in.